Both candidates campaigned hard in the swing state of Florida. Kamal, why is it so important?
Because it is, quite simply.
Fair enough.
We're going to explain more about Florida in a moment. Florida, one of 50 states, plus the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., which is voting today. Most have traditionally voted for one party or the other, at least in the last 3 elections. But, you know, in every U.S. election, there are a handful of states where the result could go either way. That is where the race is likely to be decided. Here's the list. I've shown it to you already, but you're going to see a lot more of it tonight. In fact, I'm going to tell you all, starting way up in the east. New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Ohio, the important one, which always picks the winner. We'll talk about that later. Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, which we'll come back to in a moment. You've also got Michigan, Wisconsin and Iowa. And then over here, more in the west, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona and the state of Nevada as well. However, it is these ones, look at that, 5 states there, which are the real key to Election Day. Some of them, like Ohio, which have been swing states for generations. Others, like, say, North Carolina, which are fairly new to that sort of list. Tonight, a must-win state for Donald Trump. But as Jane said, we're going to focus on Florida right now with its 29 electoral college votes, the largest of the swing states, and the final result in Florida has been relatively close in every presidential election there since 1992. The demographics are important. Think about some of these places. Down here, Miami, the suburbs in the south, they contain some of the most solidly Democratic counties in the southern part of America. But go way up to here to Jacksonville or across these western areas of what we call the Florida Panhandle, you're in solid Republican territory, which leaves the middle around Orlando, and that is the middle both geographically and politically. This area can swing to either party, and whichever way they swing, that is where the state's 29 electoral votes are likely to go. Just a quick recap as well of what's happened in the last 3 elections, and of course we had 2000 as well. We'll talk about that in a moment, but it's really been close, hasn't it? Look how close that is between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. 1% there, 3% in 2008. George Bush had a fairly good win in 2004. Alan Lichtman's joining me here, professor from, nice to see you, professor from the American University in Washington, a man who has famously picked the winners for how many years? 30 years?
30 years, since before you were born.
Okay, I'll go with that.
I thought you would.
Don't all laugh.
Yes.
And how many elections is that actually, Alan?
8.
8 elections. Okay, so first of all, I want to know what you thought of Florida in the year 2000, the one we haven't got on there at the moment. Did you pick that one?
Nobody could have picked that one. 537 votes out of 6 million votes cast, and they stopped the recount, so who knows who really won in Florida. Plus, a lot of African-American votes in particular weren't counted, which would have gone to Al Gore. So we've got to put that election kind of in the headlong crash category.
Okay, then, so let's talk about this election. Is it make or break in Florida? Is this where the election will be won and lost?
Well, it's make or break for Trump. It's not necessarily make or break for Clinton, because remember, she's got a big cushion coming in from all the states, well over 300 electoral college votes that Barack Obama won in 2012. Donald Trump has to make up a whole lot of electoral college votes. And he can't do it without Florida.
Okay, let's just change the map. I want to bring back our larger map of Florida to the demographics. And maybe I gave a brief outline, but maybe you can explain more about the changes in demographics as you go from the Panhandle right down to the tip in Miami and how that will affect the votes.
Before I even start that, let's say, you know, some 2/3 of the votes are already in. They're already banked.
2/3.
Something like that. I think, you know, close to 6 million out of expected 9 million. It's a very large number of votes. May not be quite 2/3, but it's a lot. And therefore, any exit polls coming out of Florida are not going to tell you the whole story because they won't count the votes back. But the Florida Panhandle has got some pockets of African Americans there, but is mostly white, mostly conservative, mostly Republican. They even call some of those areas the Redneck Riviera, give you some idea of how it's characterized. And of course, the 2 big Democratic counties are down in the Miami area. They are Miami-Dade County, which of course covers the city of Miami, but even more so, just north of that, is Broward County, which covers Fort Lauderdale and is a huge county and an absolute Democratic stronghold. That's why you've got the middle range of Florida, as you point out, is going to decide this election. It's much less Hispanic and not quite as Republican as the North.
Time frames. Florida is at 0100 hours GMT, I think, which is still 2.5 hours or so away. But beyond that, we can't really tell exactly how long it will take, will it?
Well, you also have the most of Florida closing at one time, and then the far panhandle closing an hour later. So the early returns may look like the Democrats are running away with it, but that could be deceptive. Be patient in Florida.
Alan Lichtman, lovely to have you. Alan's going to be joining the panel as well with Jane throughout the night. Long night to go. We'll see you again soon, Jane.
All right, thanks for that, you too.